Hello there, my friends and listeners. I'm a couple days later, putting out this Holy Week reflection. Can we just real quickly talk about the chaos of Palm Sunday? I love Palm Sunday. I love all of the different seasons and the days where we change it up a little bit with the structure of the service. Just makes you not get lost in any of the monotony. I love Palm Sunday, but can we talk about it with kids? Because it's just pure chaos. So first of all, our children are immediately weaponized when we come in with the palm leaf. And, I'm one who I don't really bring toys in to church purposely for my kids because it defeats the purpose. While they may be distracted and, not as needy or whatever, they will be equally loud. So I can't bring toys in and stuff. So here we go on Palm Sunday. They're immediately weaponized with the Palm Sunday leaf, the palm leaf. And not only that, but again, the Palm Sunday, we do kind of a longer reading where the priest reads for Jesus in the gospel reading, and then we've got deacons that are speakers and narrators, and the congregation gets to be the chorus. And I love that. I love that it's interactive. I really do. But again, a longer reading, a lot more standing. We stand through that whole reading. And so it's a long service. My kids have a cool leaf toy that now they're playing with and fighting over and tearing up and folding and losing and all the things. I saw a reel that's actually really accurate. It's like, are you the tickler or the sword fighter or the, artist? You make the little cross out of the palm leaf, which I've watched a video on how to do it, and I've done it successfully a few times, but that is challenging. And there are some ladies, like there was a lady in front of me that had one that was perfect. I could never get my palm leaf cross to look that good. But anyways, your kids are just sometimes in a good way, but most of the time not in a great way, distracted during the whole service. And it's just a longer service because of the longer readings. And so if you made it through it as a parent with that, or maybe you were the single person sitting in front, getting tickled by the palm leaf, we all get graces upon graces for making it through the Palm Sunday service, as enjoyable as it also is. But why does the church do the same readings every year for Palm Sunday? Well, that's because we learn by repetition. That's just a human fact. There's a reason that the church does those readings over and over and over. I often think about how before, like in pre-biblical times, before the Bible was constructed, all of those teachings were passed down through memory and through people, handing down, I guess, maybe written documents from generation to generation to just keep those stories, obviously real life stories and recollections, alive. And so we need that repetition as humans. It also makes me think, because I'm in the middle of going through the Bible in a year very, very painfully slowly, but it's okay. And we just finished up with Exodus and Leviticus, where literally around every corner, the people who have just been saved by God seemingly forget that and leave or disobey again. We need repetition as humans, or we so quickly forget. So the church does these readings over and over every year to make sure that this story is impressed upon us. And, it doesn't matter how many times that you read a certain section of the Bible or hear those readings, depending on your stage of life or just your disposition that day, or what God, frankly, is trying to speak to you through the readings, you will pick up something different. Almost every time you read or hear a new reading of the Bible, or not new, you know what I'm saying. One note that I personally made regarding the Palm Sunday readings was this group of women, led by Mary Magdalene, that remained through the whole reading. So if you weren't, in church on Sunday, the reading was literally the whole crucifixion process of Jesus. I think it was the Matthew rendition. I don't know. I can't remember now. But here these women are, and they watch Jesus carry his cross. They watch Christ crucified. They watch the crowd mock him. They're all up in arms, and then the crowd leaves, and this group of women is just kind of in my head. This is kind of how it was impressed upon me as I was listening to this reading this Sunday. They're like just waiting in the background, and the women, it says the women, remained there, and then Joseph from I don't know how you say this place, but Amithia, he is the one that asked permission to take Jesus's body from the cross to the tomb. And these women wait and then see him and follow and to help care for Jesus's body. And number one, what reminder of how women are called to care for people. Men may do a lot of the very necessary heavy lifting, as Joseph did here, but our role as women is clear and proportionate as well. They brought the oils and the cloths to wrap Jesus's body in. Another note along these same lines, and this is the one that really made the impression upon me this last Sunday, because I hadn't ever really thought about it this way before, or made this sort of connection. But just hearing the reading and hearing how the women were watching, the group of women, I don't know why it was impressed upon me this time that they were just kind of in the background, like waiting and watching. It just reminded me, it made me think about how sometimes there are outcomes that are just completely out of our hands. There's nothing we can do about it. Here they are watching Jesus, really being tortured and harassed and carrying his cross and then crucified and mocked and all these things. And there's nothing that they can do about it. It's just that outcome is it's already in motion. It's completely out of their hands. I can't imagine that they understood anything that was going on. And so there's these outcomes that we encounter where there's nothing that we can change about it. We don't understand it. We really can't do anything about it. And in those times, it's very like us to want to just deny Jesus, or just almost feel forced to deny Jesus, like Peter did, frankly. I mean, in that same couple of sentences where it says the women were watching, I think right before that is when Peter is denying Jesus the 3 times. And it's because of all the chaos going on. He's scared. He doesn't understand. And that's a lot of us a lot of the time. But this was just impressed upon me that in those times where the outcomes are just out of our hands, we don't know what's going on. Maybe it is chaotic, or maybe it's just something that we're going through that's really rough, and we don't have any perspective on how this could possibly be working out for our good, because I can't imagine that those ladies did either. Rather than deny Jesus, I'm praying that I can learn to follow him and just wait for him, because that's what these women did. They waited. They were like the last ones there. Joseph went and got permission to take the body down, and they followed him. And so my prayer is that I can learn to be like them, and to watch and wait for Jesus and what he's doing in my life, or in whatever situation I may be in that I don't quite understand, and that I may grow in patience and wisdom. And ultimately, this group of women, their reward was in that they were present when the stone was rolled away. They were the ones that was there when the angel came and rolled the stone away, and Jesus was risen. He wasn't in the tomb anymore. And to me, that was their reward for waiting and watching and following, and just honestly remaining faithful when other people in that same situation had just denied Jesus. And so that was the impression I got from this reading was, in those situations where things are out of our hands, how are we remaining faithful and patient and watching for what God is doing? In other Holy Week thoughts, since it is, I guess it's Tuesday now. I've already lost track of the week, but Holy Monday, that was the day that Jesus flipped the tables in the temple. And I struggle with this reading because I think there's a lot of misconceptions regarding this reading, and it bothers me. And so I'm just going to share my thoughts, my honest thoughts here. I think a lot of people misconstrue this, the point of that reading to be that the institution of the church is unnecessary, or that because there's corruption in the church back then or in their present day church, that's their excuse that they don't need church anymore. And look, if you're in a church that is corrupt, maybe you need to go find a different one. I'm not saying that corruption doesn't exist, but the point is that this can't be our crutch or our excuse to say that we don't need church. That's not the point of this reading. It's not saying that religion in general is just inherently wrong. And sometimes I feel like that's how people kind of, take this reading, or even take reading about the Pharisees, that, they were just so hypocritical and stuff. And I think all of that can be missing the mark. To me, this is just my opinion. But to me, this reading is a reminder of our human nature. It's a reminder of our greed, them trading and stuff in the temple. It's a reminder of our ability to have good intentions and still stray from what God has for us. That's just our humanness, our human nature. But I think it's also a reminder that we are called to be holy, as we are also temples. That's what the Bible says. We are temples. And to allow God to upend those tables in our life that don't belong. Because there's going to be tables, even with our best intentions. I don't think any of those people had necessarily evil intentions trading in the church and such. But that wasn't the time or place for it. And we don't get to just use this reading as saying that religion can just so easily lead us astray, and that, corruption in the church is the reason that we don't need church. No, this reading is a reminder that we are called to be holy. We are his temples, and to allow God to upend those tables in our life that don't belong. One account put it a little differently. One Instagram account that I follow quoted it like this. They said, "What tables might we be seated at that Jesus would flip over?" So in summary, for this line of thoughts here, we're human. We need Jesus, and we're also called to holiness. We need to repeatedly ask him to cleanse our souls so that he can be ever present in us. It reminds me of one of my favorite hymns growing up that recently I've also been listening to because a version of it was redone by, I don't know how you say his last name, but Matt Maher, I don't know. It's in the Hallow app. He has a couple of adoration volumes that I listen to on repeat. The boys know them by heart. We love that. So if you have the Hallow app, go look up those Matt Maher adoration volumes. The hymn is Sanctuary. So it's some of the words in it are, "Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you." So, if you're Catholic, receiving Jesus through the Eucharist, that's you being a sanctuary for Jesus. Or, as a lot of the other denominations put it, asking him into our hearts. We're called to be sanctuaries. But, one of the prayers that I pray before receiving communion every week is that, obviously, that God cleanses my soul so that I can be completely filled up with him in a way that then reverberates to my family, my extended family, friends, coworkers, acquaintances, and anyone else on the street. Wow, that's a really kind of personal thing I'm sharing with you guys here. But that's the prayer that I pray every week before receiving communion. And the point is, we're called to holiness. We need to repeatedly ask God to cleanse us of whatever may not be leading us into that holiness. Whatever tables he might want to upend, let him upend them. Because if you've ever had the tables upended in your life, you know that it may be painful right there in the chaos of it, or as you're going through it. But God does have a greater good in mind. And we may not understand it. We may not ever understand it. But in kind of back to my first point, let's just pray that we can be watching and waiting for what Jesus is doing in our life and following him. Okay, I think that's enough for this week. So I hope you take this opportunity in Holy Week to read through the scripture. Even if you've read it before, that repetition is good. Remember the significance and reflect upon the significance of this week leading up to Easter. And remember that Easter isn't just Sunday either. It's a whole season of its own. It's beautiful that it goes hand in hand with this springtime, because really, I don't think we could have it any other way. It's a beautiful time, and I hope everyone puts in special effort this week for Holy Week and Easter to prepare our hearts and allow God to upend the tables and have a fulfilling effect in your life, and just to turn you in the direction that he would have you go. So hope you have a good Holy Week and a good Easter, and we will talk soon.